Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thank you very much for watching us and for listening to us. If you're watching us, you're on YouTube. You're watching the glory, the majesty, and the splendor, not to mention the charisma and the passion of the entire program. And if you're listening, you're probably on any one of the possible podcast platforms in the United States. We are on all of them. Please make sure that you subscribe to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever, we are there, and we would appreciate it if you subscribe to us. If you want to see the entire catalog or listen to the entire catalog, head over to Buzzsprout and search out The Right Side with Doug Billings. So tonight we saw it. We saw Joe Biden's acceptance speech of the United States presidency as sponsored by the New Democratic Socialist Party. I've got to admit, I didn't think it was going to happen. I still don't. There's a long time between now and November 3rd. I still don't think he's going to be the guy. I just think something's going to happen between now and then, and I'm not going to back off of it. It's just too iffy. He's said all of the code words. He's said all of the real words that would incline anybody who's watching and paying attention to think he's not in it to win it. He doesn't even know that he's in it at all. So tonight we get to see his speech. We get to look at it. We get to laugh. You know, Mayor Bloomberg was there. I tell you what, Mayor Bloomberg is to lying as to Shakespeare is to poetry, ladies and gentlemen. Bloomberg, if he were Pinocchio, his nose wouldn't allow him in the room. The stuff that he said was abhorrent, untrue, and wildly negligent of a man of any kind of character, which apparently tonight he proved that he has none. And you know, I was disappointed in the coverage. Yes, I watched Fox News. I did. Every one of the Fox News panelists, the anchors on there, except for Raymond Arroyo, who was on the Laura Ingraham show, Raymond is the only one who told the truth about the Biden speech, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody else thought it was marvelous. It was outstanding. It was the speech that he needed to give. It was glorious. He didn't fumble. He didn't make a mistake. Wrong. He did. We'll get there in a minute. Oh, everybody. Dana Perino, I'm so let down in you. You are, I love you. Gosh, you're good looking. And you're smart. But you're absolutely wrong in your assessment of this speech. Karl Rove, come on, man. Give me a break. Grow a pair to match your head. Chris Wallace, are you kidding me? You're becoming just another tool for the fake news media. All three of you said what you think you had to say to sound reasonable and balanced and fair. Let's not piss anybody off. Let's make sure that we're nice to Joe on the closing night. After all, it's Joe. He's been around for 79 years, and, he's been in politics for damn near 50 years. Dana, Karl, Chris, everybody else who thought the speech was glowing and magnificent, you are off the mark. It was a befuddled, strenuously uncomfortable, and a mistake-ridden speech. It was a speech based in plagiarism. He took snippets from Reagan, took a sentence or two from Bush, read a lot of stuff that Obama had already said, and he gives these platitudes about light and love and feel-good stuff. No policies, no agenda items, nothing of substance, and you think it's a good speech because he can read a teleprompter. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You guys, I'm telling you, you got to be careful over there at Fox. You got to start going back to just telling the truth. Don't say what you think both sides want you to hear. Be yourselves, be truthful, and let the truth fall where it may. You didn't tell the truth tonight. Go back to the good old days when you spoke from your hearts and didn't let your heads get in the way. No, but you're not made to be good news people if you're simply out to think that you can only occasionally throw Joe Biden a bone. Oh, we got to throw him a bone. It's his speech. Let's let him have his moment. Let's let this be the high water mark. Joe Biden's speech was laced with lies, speculation, unsubstantiated accusations, and he struggled throughout the entire speech to stay on track with the teleprompter and not lose his place within the sentences that were shown up on the monitors. You could tell. I mean, the only thing that he did well tonight was finally be able to capture and quote the Declaration of Independence. And he screwed that up earlier in the year. But he had a teleprompter tonight, didn't he? Holy moly, what a terrible speech, you guys. No energy, no passion. It was all fake. And can we stop with the sympathy card, please? Look. We're all sorry that Joe lost his wife and a child and children and so forth in the accident. We're sorry that Bo died of cancer. We're happy that Jill came along and made his life better, happier than it was. We truly are. I mean that. But I mean, we've all had tragedies. We've all had adversities. You think Donald Trump hasn't had his share of tragedies and adversities? Donald Trump will not play the sympathy card, though, will he? He doesn't need to. The only card that Donald Trump needs to play is the achievement card. Here's what I've achieved. Here's what I've done. Let's look. It would take you 16 pages to list everything that he's done. But ironically, he's experienced a lot of stuff that the people have thrown at him from the news media and the other side of the aisle over the last 3.5 years. You know, the stuff, the tragedies, the adversities when Joe Biden spied on and encouraged others to attempt sabotage with the president's campaign and his election. Remember that? That little thing that Joe Biden did called Obamagate? Right there in the room when he called out General Flynn, told everybody to go after him to destroy the man's reputation. That was Joe Biden. At the end of the day, many Americans vote for a president who they believe can make their lives better, ladies and gentlemen. In this category, President Trump wins every day and twice on Sundays. He has made our lives better. He's made them better. And let me tell you, the narrative about the wrecked economy that Joe Biden brings up tonight, that Bloomberg brought up tonight, that everyone else this week on the Democratic side brought up, the wrecked economy is not President Trump's fault. He restored the economy. He made it better than it had ever been in history. The wrecked economy is because of the new Democratic Socialist Party's wildly unnecessary economic shutdowns and their continued encouragement, whether verbally or by virtue of their silence, of chaos, mobs, and anarchy. That's the reason the economy is wrecked and why there are still millions of people unemployed in this country. Has nothing to do with President Trump. The glimmer of hope is here, ladies and gentlemen, that most people have common sense in this country, and that the vast majority of us on the right side, the vast majority of independent voters, the vast majority of libertarian voters understand that that is all BS. That what was dished out tonight was a complete lie. Joe Biden didn't tell the truth tonight. All he did is what he's done his entire life. He plagiarized a snippet from Reagan, quote from Clinton, few words from George W. Bush, and he stole achievements that other people have made that he gave himself credit for. Biden claims he has the gall to claim Trump cozies up to dictators. Really? Really, Joe? He cozies up to dictators. Excuse me. He's held Russia in check. Nobody's been harder on Russia than Trump. He's held China in check. Nobody's been tougher on China than President Trump. Let me remind you about a little meeting you had in the Ukraine when your son was under investigation, and at the time you made that snarky little joke about getting the Ukrainian prosecutor fired, or there would be no money, no help from the United States. And oh, son of a bitch, you said. Your words, not mine. Son of a bitch. Imagine that. He was fired. And the Ukraine last week named you as a criminal in that whole situation where you had that prosecutor fired. Now, that'll play out, and you may never, ever be affected by it, Joe Biden. But we hear and we know the truth. We hear it and we know it. You're a criminal. You've been in the swamp for 40 years. You say things tonight like, we're going to have a rapid test for COVID-19. If I were the president back in March, we would have had rapid tests available immediately. And never mind that rapid tests weren't even invented and ready until June of this year, Joe. President Trump mobilized the private sector in manufacturing of ventilators, drugs, PPE, better and more efficiently than has been done since World War II. And you just lie. You just say things that can't even be remotely possible. I'm going to have rapid results COVID test in March. Well, it's not possible, Joe. I mean, the guts that it must take, or maybe it's the dementia that it must take for you to be able to say those kinds of things, Joe. We continue to feel sorry for you. We don't wish you any ill will. You're clearly not well. You look old. You look frail. For those of us that know people in our lives who have had dementia and Alzheimer's and such things, you look like you've got it. We're sorry for that. For those of you in the news media, please stop coddling. Tell the truth. It was a horrible speech. Just a terrible speech. We will continue to monitor all of this on the right side here with Doug Billings. We're not going to relent in our pursuit of the truth, and we're not going to relent in the face of whatever else the mainstream media may say. It's important that we know the truth and that we say the truth with regards to how these people are performing. Joe and his crowd condemn President Trump for not handling the COVID crisis effectively. A lie, misrepresentation, and fabricated myths. President Trump shut down travel from China in January. It was still February and March when Joe was saying, this is no big deal. It's not anything. SARS was a lot worse than this. And Nancy Pelosi is going to Chinatown in San Francisco. Joe Biden is calling Trump xenophobic. Nancy Pelosi is saying it's ridiculous. Don't listen to the president. Come on out. Come on out to Chinatown. Enjoy yourselves. The narrative won't work anymore. We know the truth. We know that the manufactured lies and half-truths of the New Democratic Socialist Party is all they have. And you'll notice something else, ladies and gentlemen. Things that the New Democratic Socialist Party did not mention this week. And I think it's important for us to understand that, silence is, in fact, a response. And when people and political parties are silent on an issue, that is, in fact, a response to an issue. Case in point, the mobs, the anarchy, the rioting and the looting, the rape and the murder that's going on across cities in America that are led and managed by members of the New Democratic Socialist Party. They don't have to come out and say that they support it, although they often do. They often do. We support it. It's peaceful protesting. It's peaceful protesting, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a summer of love in Seattle. And it ended up being a summer of rape and murder. I think the thing that we discovered this week was that the real running mate for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is not each other. They are not each other's running mate. They each have COVID-19 as their running mate. There's no way that 170,000 people have died purely of COVID in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to believe that. 170,000 people have not died from COVID. They've died from pre-existing medical conditions. The New Democratic Socialist Party tries to divert, instill fear, and try to confuse you to divert you from their own malfeasance with regards to how they lead this country. Of all of the 170,000 deaths that these people claim were caused by COVID-19, only 17,000 of them died actually from COVID-19 when it's the primary cause of death. 17,000. The rest all died from pre-existing medical conditions. Look, and I'm going to talk now to superintendents and teachers and administrators of schools throughout the country. If you're under 60 years of age, 60, if you're younger than 60, you are statistically unaffected and will have a 99% recovery rate. Unless you're medically fragile, unless you have a pre-existing medical condition. And by all means, take care of yourselves if you're medically fragile. If you're 45 years and younger, you don't even register on the statistical charts of getting COVID and having serious effects because of it, unless you're medically fragile. College kids, 21 to 24 years old or so, 100% recovery rate. School-age children, high school and younger, from birth to age 19, statistically unaffected by COVID. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't get it. They can get it, ladies and gentlemen, but they're statistically unaffected. They'll have a few symptoms, if any, very mild. They get over it. In a couple of days, a few days, they're done. Poof. Getting COVID-19 is not necessarily a bad thing. It leads to herd immunity. Schools closing down, superintendents of high schools and districts with kids that are dependent upon athletic scholarships and academic scholarships. Shame on you for wrecking the hopes and the dreams of these kids. College sports canceling entire seasons. You're nothing but a bunch of wussies, and substitute the letter W with P. A bunch of wussies. COVID-19 is the wildly unnecessary nothing burger in the history of hysteria. It's the biggest thing that is amounting to nothing in the history of hysteria. You know, the people that die from this thing, age 78 or older. 78 or older. And 78, ironically, is the average life expectancy of people in the United States. So the New Democratic Socialist Party blaming this on Trump, thinking that it was mismanaged and not handled well, and that COVID-19 is a reason that we should all lock ourselves in our safe room at home and wear a mask in our cars and outside in sunshine. Absolutely crazy. And I can only say that the good news in all of that is the vast majority of people in this country know better. They are absolutely lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely lying to you. And then, of course, Biden ends, the whole speech with rambling on about light and love and this and that and unity. Yeah, it's a real unifying party they have there on the New Democratic Socialist Party side. Riots, looting, murder, rape, never saying a word about it. The only time in American history where a political party has failed to condemn violent mobs and anarchy. Right. But let's talk about love and light and unity and how we all just should come together as one. Joe, why don't you speak out about some things? Why didn't you and anybody else that spoke this week talk about certain things? Oh, you brought up Charlottesville again. Yeah, Charlottesville, that whole thing outside of context in reality. Oh, white supremacists were in Charlottesville, and Trump said there's good people on both sides. And you mean to imply that he said that white supremacists were good people. You're a liar. That's not what he meant. It's not what he said. It's not even remotely close. But let's talk about the things that they didn't say. They didn't back off of the mask mandate. In fact, Joe doubled down on that tonight. We'll have a nationwide mask mandate. Never mind that that's unconstitutional. Never mind that the president can't order such a thing. I mean, to say that, they say that the Republicans are the science deniers. They're the science deniers. They perpetuate a false, wildly unnecessary panic about a virus that has a 100% recovery rate among people who are not medically fragile. Nothing new. The same with any virus. Then we get into the final lap of Joe's speech tonight. And he goes into the me mantra, right? Oh, yeah. Light. Remember that? I said it a minute ago. Light is more powerful than darkness. He tries to get loud. Oh, really? Well, tell that to the people in Portland. Love is more powerful than hate. Minneapolis, anybody? People want to love each other and they want to come together. Chicago. You see what they are, ladies and gentlemen? Platitudes. They're platitudes. He gave no agenda, gave no sense to any of these feel-good items these snippets that he brings up at the end of the speech. I mean, as he went on, you could just tell he's trying to keep up with the teleprompter. The director in the back end, she just imagine, slow down the teleprompter. Joe's going to stumble. He's going to stumble. He's going to, oh. And then he does stumble. He flubs it up. Even when the teleprompter is going as slow as molasses in wintertime, he flubs up. He can't read it. He screws it up. He says this. There's never been a time. There's never been anything we've been able to accomplish when we've done it together. Now, did you get that? Let me read it slowly for you, and I'll just read it. There has never been anything we've been able to accomplish when we've done it together. There's never been anything we've been able to accomplish when we've done it together. Come on, man. Were you snorting cocaine there, Joe, before the speech? I mean, oh, gosh. You know what I want to know? I want to know why Tulsi Gabbard wasn't invited to participate in any of the events this week. Tulsi Gabbard. You know, I don't align with her necessarily politically at all, but she had common sense. She was well-spoken. She's articulate. She didn't get to come on the show. Well, Tulsi, listen, if you're out there, somebody get this to her. Tulsi, I want you to come on this show. Come on my podcast, please. Let's talk about the fact that you weren't invited by the New Democratic Socialist Party hierarchy to be part of this week's festivities. A friendly interview. We can just talk about that and your thoughts surrounding it, and that would be it. 15 or 20 minutes. I can't believe it. Well, she's a Russian spy, after all, according to the New Democratic Socialist Party, and so forth. But meanwhile, those people that were involved this week, of all of them, and there are a lot of jackwagons that were part of it, none of them brought up any of these things. Any of them, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't bring up the mob. They didn't bring up anarchy. They didn't bring up any of the cities that are being burned, that are led and managed by members of the New Democratic Socialist Party. They didn't mention riots. They didn't mention statue tumbling, looting. They never said the word Portland. They didn't talk about Seattle's summer of rape and murder. They didn't talk about Chicago and its horrific crime wave. They didn't talk about Mueller. They didn't talk about Chinagate or Russiagate. Hell, they didn't even bring up impeachment. They certainly didn't bring up the acquittal. They didn't bring up record stock market rises even since COVID. And they never brought up God, ladies and gentlemen. And I could go on and on. So let it be noted that the New Democratic Socialist Party encourages and supports and wants the mob to continue its rampage, at least until November 4th. And it's sickening that Joe Biden's handlers didn't include any mention, not a sentence, a syllable about any of these things. But ladies and gentlemen, don't despair. Because it's for those very reasons that they didn't mention any of it that the right side will prevail in November. We will talk about the mob and how we want it crushed and how it won't become the dominant mainstream philosophical movement in this country. President Trump will be reelected in a massive, massive landslide. California will go red. With every kook decision that Governor Newsom makes out there, he moves the entire state towards the Republican Party. I think the same may be true for a lot of states. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, you have a pack of blessings on your back. Take inventory of those blessings, please, because they are real and they are abundant. All of these adversities, all of these challenges are blessings waiting to be born, and we will, with President Trump as our president, who's called by divine providence to be our leader during these times and for these issues, we'll be able to realize all of those blessings, and we'll be able to celebrate a new rebirth of 4 years with President Trump. And we hope and pray for his safety. And ladies and gentlemen, I pray every day for you and your families, all of you, whether you agree with me or not. I pray for all of you and your happiness. In these troubling times, may you find work, may you find joy and peace, may you find family and friends when you most need them. Ladies and gentlemen, may God continue to bless you. And may he continue to guide and bless President Trump. And may God continue to bless and to guide the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, Doug Billings here on the right side. You know, it's not every day that we here at the program get to meet someone who rubs elbows with American heroes. But we've done just that, and he's become a friend of the program, and we're grateful for it. The Commander's Artist, otherwise known on Twitter as The Real Mad Dog 58. Make sure you look him up and give him a follow on Twitter at The Real Mad Dog 58. And more importantly, perhaps, look him up on the web, www.thecommandersartist.com. He's the personal artist of General Mike Flynn. Personal friend of the general's is a personal friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm flattered that he's become a friend of the right side. You can check out his artwork just over my right shoulder, the right side logo that we use at the beginning and end of every program. There's one of me up there in my Revolutionary War garb, protecting the Republic from intellectual liberal immaturity, and one of Donald Trump up there as well. We love it. My chosen leader. TheCommandersArtist.com and The Real Mad Dog 58 on Twitter. Mad Dog, Commander's Artist, thank you, brother. Thank you for your friendship, for all you've done for the show. Cheers.